starts his gatherings into the zone. Score! Echo wins it, and the Sun Devils make it 18.
Welcome back to the 10th edition of Hell Frozen Over. I'm Allyson Cummings, joined here with Nick Marek. And so, Nick, from what I understand, you've been stood up here a little bit from Trey and Austin.
Yeah, gotten the rough love for past 2 weeks, so thanks for joining me this time. So I could always have faith in you, at least with our top 5 seconds. Give you a chance to host this time.
All right, well, thank you. So what I understand is Arizona State took on Penn State University this past weekend and ended up splitting the series, and it was a really good series for ASU. Penn State, the NCAA Division I competitor. How big was that weekend for ASU?
Well, I mean, we've been talking since the beginning of this season that it's going to be such a big weekend. It was one that the Sun Devils went home in their calendars over the summer before they even came back to Tempe for classes to start this fall, and there was a target on Penn State. They realized that this was the #1 team in the ACHA last season, now rising up the Division I rankings. It was a big game going in. They arguably the biggest game of the season for the Sun Devils, and they came through and they were able to capitalize. Unfortunately, a bit of a struggle in that first game, but the fact that the Sun Devils picked up a game on the road, Penn State, Division I opponent. This is a team that has scholarship players on it now. A lot of the same makeup of last year, but what really did the difference was it caught some attention in the league throughout the entire ACHA, whether it was on Twitter, whether it was messages, whether it was congratulating Coach Powers, the players. Heck, even a Yahoo article gave some congratulations to the Arizona State Sun Devils. It was that big of a victory for them on the weekend.
A big game it definitely was. And the Sun Devils, they lost the first game 8-3 and what kind of was a mess. And they came out victorious in the second game, winning 3-1. Nick, what went right?
You know, honestly, I don't want to say it was a case of the jet lag, because that seemed to be the 2011-2012 version of ASU. But if you really look at that past weekend, it might have been that, but they were able to kick it into the gear on Saturday. There had to have been something said during the 20-hour span they had between games. I'm not sure who the leaders are, so we're certainly going to have to ask Coach Powers and defenseman Jordan Young when we come back in Hell Frozen Over later on to see exactly what happened, because it's almost like it was a miracle. You don't want to say that because this Sun Devil team is that good, but the fact that you can go from losing by 5 goals, really having absolutely zero hope, and then turning things around and winning a tight 3-1 victory, that just shows you the heart of this Sun Devil team. That shows you how dedicated and how proven they are to go all the way this year in the ACHA.
And we could definitely go with the jet lag theory, probably played a huge factor in it. But how about the goaltending? Game 1, Dietrich and Delia gave up a season high of 8 goals. And then Game 2, Delia blocked 36 of 37 shots. Can you talk about the goaltending a little bit? I
mean, that's phenomenal. If you want to say any teacher, if Coach Powers, the teacher, so to speak, to go off a school analogy, if you go from a C+ save percentage to an A+ percentage, you're almost going to think Delia was cheating. I don't know what happened. The defense was completely turned around overnight. They came out, played a lot stronger. They weren't caught too deep in the offensive zone. They got back. They really shifted well. I mean, we saw in the Friday game there was a couple issues. Darcy Charwa and Parson and others, actually almost the whole defensive unit, got caught too deep, had to come back. And then it was 2-on-1 breakaways or 3-on-2 breakaways the entire time for the Nittany Lions. That was not the case on Friday. Actually, Sun Devils did get one fortunate call when a no goal was waved off. It was batted in with a glove hand, but still the goaltending was phenomenal. Joe Delia completely changed his mentality, proved that he was the #1 goaltender that Coach Powers said the week before, and really proved his worth. And picking up 1 goal against Division I team, that's fantastic net minding.
And ASU certainly needed to come out firing, and that they did. We're now going to send it over to break, but we should stay tuned for more Hell Frozen Over after the break.
How do we rise to the challenges before us? Arizona State University.
Welcome back to Hell Frozen Over. I'm Allyson Cummings alongside Nick Marek, and we're now joined by head coach Greg Powers. And so the big weekend for ASU against NCAA competitor Penn State. How did you feel about that weekend?
It was obviously a tremendous weekend for us. We felt like we played pretty well on Friday. Despite the score being 8-3, we didn't think it was an 8-3 game. I think a lot of people that watched the game and were there, and most especially inside of our locker room, didn't feel that we deserved to lose that game 8-3. We shouldn't have won the game, but we shouldn't have lost it 8-3. So we took some positives out of that game and made some adjustments and regrouped, and obviously bounced back Saturday with our best effort of the year.
Speaking of adjustments, what did you guys really do? Because that was the first time you've actually allowed a hat trick on this season, 8 goals the most, so goaltending defense a little bit of an issue, but that was not the case on Saturday. So really, what happened overnight? Well,
I mean, going into the series, we knew that Penn State loved to throw everything on net. They love to crash hard. They're big, they're strong, they're physical. They play a very simple but effective game in that way. And so Joe knew that he had to really, really work on rebound control and be good with his rebounds. And he wasn't on Friday. He fought the puck a little bit in the first period, and you could see it. And then right away in the second, he missed one with his glove, and then they crashed the net. Our D didn't take care of those guys, and so it just compiled on us very quickly. And that's what happens against really good teams like that. If you blink, they're going to take advantage of it. You can't give them an inch; they take 10 miles. And that's what happened. So on Saturday, we just reiterated what we needed to do, and Joe was a vacuum. I mean, literally no second chance opportunities. He sucked everything up. I think he adjusted to kind of their game, and then physically we out-hit them. We took complete control of the front of our net. And didn't have any hardly second chance opportunities, and I think that's the biggest reason why we won.
And Joe Delia blocked 36 of 37 shots on him. Do you think Saturday's game was a big statement for all the ACHA teams?
I think, a lot of coaches and different teams reached out, and they were happy with the result, obviously. We think that we play very good hockey in the ACHA, and, hopefully now it gets a little bit more credit. But we're getting there slowly but surely, but it was a good statement for our league, there's no doubt.
And then refocusing for this weekend against Robert Morris, obviously Penn State was probably the #1 series for you guys going into it. I remember you were saying in last week's show that it was probably the most anticipated game. You just wanted to get there. You were eager for it. Now, all of a sudden, you have a 1-3 in the ACHA right before you go on to break, for you have a nice 3-week break before the Canadian Showcase. So how is this going to be a nice segue for you guys going into the winter months?
Well, we have to approach Robert Morris just like we did Penn State, knowing that they're a very good hockey team, because they are. They're a tremendous hockey team. Adrian lost last night, so technically, Robert Morris could maybe be #2. So they're going to be pushing hard to come in and take us down and try and get that one spot. And we have a target on our back now. We already did. We're #1, and now we beat an NCAA Division I team. So we're going to get their best this weekend, and we know it. We'll be prepared for it. The guys just have to remain focused and intent, and not get complacent for another 5 days, and then we have a nice 3 weeks off, and they can enjoy some time with their family, and we'll regroup up in British Columbia.
How do you feel the leaders were able to do on the ice? Obviously, 2 of the more experienced vets, and Cale Dolinsky and Dan Stern, have both dominated. Also, Fez Khan was kind of like your surprise of the weekend. So how do you feel they're going to be able to work into this coming weekend, or do you think anybody else is ready to bust out?
Well, the thing about Fez is I've kind of known with Fez that the bigger the stage, the better he's going to play, and it's been that way. Really, really all year. I mean, he's the one that stepped up at U of A in front of 5,000 people and won us that game, and then he was just tremendous at Penn State. And our leadership was fantastic. You got Dan Stern, obviously played his probably best series of his career against the best team that we've played against since he's been here. Those are the things we need from our seniors if we're going to accomplish our goals of winning a national championship. We need efforts like that out of them every game. So we're on the back half of the season now, and we saw what happens when we play our top game. We can beat an NCAA Division I team, and hopefully we'll see that consistently now.
And do you think ASU has lived up to the expectation that you guys have had? They had a fantastic depth on that team, and they've been playing fantastic. But are they living up to what all they can be?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're 19-1 with that one kind of has an asterisk with an NCAA Division I loss, but I have no complaints. We have a team full of kids that are bought in, and they play within our system, and they support each other, and right now things are good. Things are good here at Oceanside Ice Arena, but we have to maintain focus. We can't look ahead. We can't look behind. We can't, focus on what we just did. We have a very good hockey team coming in, and we need to end the semester on the right note.
And Robert Morris hasn't played since November 17th. Do you consider that advantage or disadvantage?
Well, it depends. I mean, if they were banged up and they had some time to heal, then obviously it's an advantage. Hopefully they might be a little bit rusty. But again, we were off, a full almost 2 weeks before Penn State. We came out flying in that first period. We were sharp. Our legs were under us. So it can go both ways. I mean, Central Oklahoma was off for 2 weeks before we played them, and they were a little bit rusty. So I've seen it go both ways. I'm expecting them to come out flying. They have no reason not to. Playing in number one's building after we just knocked off a very good opponent. So I've full belief we're going to get their best.
And last question for me is that you guys still are ACHA No and ACHA. So remember you said the 9-1 with an asterisk. But now you're taking on a team who's actually going to host the national tournament this year. So you guys be going their place regardless later whether you face them or not. Does that make this game any different to you guys knowing that you might see them in March?
No, I mean, not necessarily. We're going to see pretty much everybody we play from here on out. There's a chance we're going to see them in March. So they're hosting it. We were there 4 years ago when they hosted it. They put on a great show. I think they do the best out of any national tournament that I've been at. They have a great venue. They're a phenomenal program, with a very good coach. So we're focused on Friday right now, and we got some bumps and some bruises that we'll address, and hopefully we'll go on with a solid lineup, and then we'll focus on Saturday after Friday. But we're just focused on Friday.
All right, well, that'll do it. Thank you for watching this part of Health Frozen Over. Be sure to stay tuned after the break for more Health Frozen Over, brought to you by the WCSN.
Tacos?
Nah. Burgers?
Yesterday.
Right.
I'm thinking
Mongolian.
Looking for a fresh, healthy alternative? Take a trip to Genghis Grill. Spice up your favorite meats and seafood, then load up on veggies. Choose a sauce and let our Genghis Grill masters cook your selection to perfection. Genghis Grill, masters of Mongolian stir-fry.
Hey, go vegetarian?
Chicken. Me too.
Welcome back to Health Frozen Over. I'm Allyson, Cummings, joined by Nick Marek, and now we got defenseman Jordan Young. And so, Jordan, finals are coming up. Are you studying, or are you getting a little too crazy out there on the ice?
No, I got to do my work. I got some tough classes, so I got to study.
Oh, you got to do your work?
Yep.
All right, and so last weekend against Penn State, how big was it to come off with a win against the NCAA team in your first year of playing here?
Well, I think it's pretty much just a good landmark to look back on and pretty much set a good bar of what we can accomplish this year.
Now, is there anything that the team did differently from that first game to the second game? Obviously, the first one, probably not the defensive showing you guys would have hoped, but what really changed within that overnight?
Well, I'd definitely say we kind of just regrouped, got our stuff back together, and kind of got the jitters out and just came back composed and kind of did what we did to get the job done.
Was it a little bit of a jet lag possibly for you guys, or just maybe too much excitement going in where you had to really maybe tone it down and get back to the Sun Devils that we know?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to make any excuses, but I think we just just caught us off guard and just different level of play, so we had to get used to it, and then by the time we did, it's probably the second game came around.
And as far as leadership is concerned, who really stepped up after that first game and said, hey guys, we got to turn it around?
I think it was like a team in general. Everybody's got a tight-knit group, so everybody's pretty much saying the same thing and believing in one another, so I think it's pretty much team leadership.
Well, that's interesting because you actually said the whole team kind of plays a different leadership role. Does that mean you guys as freshmen or the newcomers, so to speak, can't really call you newcomers anymore now? It's full 3 months into the season. But do you guys get to play the role, or is it really just on the captains?
No, it's definitely everybody. Like the captains, they kind of paved the way, and then us, we had our own little parts into it. So, I mean, everybody does their own part to chip in.
And what was the vibe going into game 2? Were you using the last game to fuel you guys? What really was your drive?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We knew we could beat them, and so we just kind of did everything we had to do, and it was our last opportunity, so we just threw everything at them.
All right. And I'm going to throw you and Clarkie under the bus a little bit here. In the first game, they were the only two to receive penalties and sent to the sin bin, and yours resulted in 2 power play goals. What are you looking to fix going into this weekend?
Just not do that, I guess. I don't know. We're kind of in a race for most penalty minutes, so it's understandable if we get 1 or 2. But
how do you guys refocus then after knowing a tough loss like that on Friday, the first one of the season? This is a team that really said, obviously you guys have the aspiration of possibly picking up a sweep. Then really just a completely different look at the team on Saturday night. What the heck happened?
I don't know. There were so many emotions going on, and it was just almost like a big blur. But you just kind of had to live in the moment and take every second by second, and really not concentrate on what's going on around you. You just kind of take the situation at hand.
And now looking into Robert Morris, got to switch gears here. Obviously, almost equally as big of a game in terms of the ACHA opponent, number 1 versus number 3 on the weekend. So how is that Penn State game and then practice week and actually the tough schedule you guys in the first half of the season really prepared you for this coming weekend?
Oh, definitely. I think that's the best we're going to see all year. But we can't peak. So I think definitely we just need to refocus, re-gear, and just come back out and act like it's just another weekend that's a must-win.
And Robert Morris hasn't played since November 7th. Do you consider that an advantage or disadvantage?
I don't know. I mean, they'll be rested, but then again, they won't be in game ready. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll be ready. So it's nothing to really worry about.
And I don't know if you know this or not, but we actually gave you the top inspirational quote of the month last week on Hell Frozen Over. And so we have a really important question for you. Are you ready for it?
Let's hear it.
Okay. What's your motivational words going into this weekend? It's a very important question.
Let's get it done, I guess. I don't know. Do the job. I don't know.
You gotta do the job.
Yeah, it's simple as that. Here we go.
Maybe a little Southern drawl, get her done from Jordan Young. But kind of like the last thing is really looking forward to this season. You guys have a big showcase in Canada before the end of this month. Then you have to come back, and you're going to be consistently playing top 20 teams. So how did that Penn State game, now Robert Morris, do you feel like you're prepared now for the what's next to come?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a big feat for us. I think we pretty much know that sky's the limit after that because, taking on those guys and taking them down the second day with, I think they pretty much just shot a bunch of confidence in us, so now we're pretty much ready for anything.
And preparing for Robert Morris, what have you really been focusing on in practices?
Pretty much just the same thing, worry about our game and make them play against us. So, I don't know, we're not really focusing on them too much, but more worry about ourselves and preparing ourselves.
It's a good mentality to go into.
Absolutely. All right, well, that will do it for this segment. Be sure to stay tuned after the break for more Hell Frozen Over, brought to you by the WCSN.
Welcome back to Hell Frozen Over. Alongside Richard Flores, I'm Josh Franz, and this is Around the ACHA. There's been a lot of ups and downs the first half of the season, but which team has impressed you the most in the first half?
My first half team of the semester is Adrian. They are second ranked in the ACHA right now. They're having a pretty good season so far. It's 16-1-1 on the season. Coming into the season, in the preseason rankings, they were ranked 8th overall. So I think they had some expectations with them, but I think they're definitely exceeding those by far, being second ranked. And the one thing that is leading them to do so to that second overall ranking is the player, their leading scorer, Sennett Patton. He has 47 points in 21 games this season. That is third ranked overall in the ACHA. Incredible play from one of their best forwards in the league. And the incredible thing that I thought about this was, if I look back to last season, 2011-2012, their leading scorer last season was Ryan Bachman. He's only played in 13 games this season, and they're still able to have the success they're having this year without their leading scorer from last season. So that's incredible to see a team, have a lot of different guys step up in order to bring them above what their expectations were.
Big expectations the rest of the season. They've surpassed their expectations so far. Championship aspirations now on their mind. My team, however, is the U.S. Naval Academy. They're ranked 11th in the nation, came in 24th in the preseason rankings. They have the biggest jump in the top 25, moving up 13 positions. They have 116 goals on the year, giving up just 49 goals on the season. That's a 2.3 to 1 goals
That's incredible,
ratio.
man. When you have that kind of stuff happen, it's tough to beat.
Right, they've surpassed expectations, moving up in the rankings, putting themselves in a great position for a playoff spot right now.
Right, Naval Academy, I like how you're showing the kind of American pride there, Josh, going with Navy. Yeah, they're definitely having a good season. I'm looking forward to seeing them play the rest of the year.
Right, they're one of the teams that I think everybody has to respect in the country. Moving on, though, who was your top performer from this past weekend?
There's a lot of people to choose from this weekend, but I'm sorry, Sun Devil fans. I have to go with Ansel Ivans Anderson out of the U of A. He had an incredible weekend this past weekend against San Diego State. In the game Friday against San Diego State, he scored 7 points in that hockey game, including a hat trick. And then on top of that, in the second game on Saturday, he had added an assist to that. So overall for the weekend, 8 points for Ansel Ivans Anderson, and bringing his total for the season to 26 points. So congratulations to him for a great weekend.
All right, my pick didn't do as much this weekend, but he did it against a great opponent. This past weekend, 8th-ranked Oklahoma played at 6th-ranked Illinois, and the Sooners swept the Fighting Illini in Illinois. They scored a combined 9 goals in those 2 games. Brandon Dennis led the way for Oklahoma. He's my player of the week, scored 3 goals in those 2 games, and led the way for his team to victory.
Good for them. That's all you gotta say.
Yeah, he played great in those. Now, what is your matchup to watch going into this week?
This weekend I got 2 ACHA powerhouses. Both of these teams have won championships in the past in the ACHA. Lindenwood and Davenport, both of these teams are ranked inside the top 10 in the ACHA. So it's going to be a matchup that is going to be intriguing to watch because of these 2 teams. We know these 2 teams are, championship contending teams this season. And the interesting thing about this, I took a look back at the series history here. Lindenwood leads the series 4-3 since 2009, but the one game that mattered back in 2010, 2011, in the championship game, Davenport beat Lindenwood in that championship game, so they do have the bragging rights in that series. But I wrote down a player to watch here this weekend. It's going to be Mason Bollinger. I'm sorry if you got your name wrong. 35 points in 23 games this season. That's 11th in the ACHA. So I think if Davenport wants to win, you got to get your leading point scorer to step up this weekend.
That's right, Richie. That's 2 great teams and a legendary matchup. I have a great matchup this week, too. Obviously, number 1 ranked ASU and number 3 ranked Robert Morris are is the game to watch this weekend, but we talk about them enough on this show. I'm going to go for Oklahoma and Central Oklahoma. Oklahoma 8th in the country, Central Oklahoma 16th in the country, a big in-state rivalry. Oklahoma trying to pull away from the field, Central Oklahoma trying to prove that they can beat good teams. We'll see how they go forward from here on out, but that should be a fun series to watch this weekend. Now that'll do it for Around the ACHA. For Richard Flores, I'm Josh Franz. Now over to Nick and Allie at the rink.
Thank you, Josh and Richie. And ironically enough, Josh mentioned the Navy to be his team in the first half, but the ASU Sun Devils football team will be playing Navy in the Crops Fight Hunger Bowl. So
yeah, lots of Navy around all in this show, and also their top plays of the week. I think I got a little scared because I'm pretty sure Josh mentioned it that Robert Morris ASU is going to be a big series. So that's Allie and Mai's game to watch in the ACHA this weekend. Obviously, we're going to talk about it right now. Lots to get into.
Oh, yeah. And if I had a game sort of on my calendar, this would definitely be one of them. But Robert Morris, I haven't played since November 17th. That's a really long break. Do you consider that to be an advantage or disadvantage?
In my opinion, I think it's a disadvantage just because that's a lot of time off from the rink. There's a difference between practice like the Sun Devils are doing right behind us now or actually playing in a game setting when you're playing those top opponents, especially when you're going to come out against the number 1 team in the ACHA. This isn't some team buried down in the deep 20s. They are undefeated in ACHA play this season. So it's not like Robert Morris is going to be like, yeah, we'll still come out sharp. We'll be able to do okay. They're going to have to completely come in with the most sound mentality they've had all season, the most prepared they've been. And that's really difficult to do after not playing for nearly 3 weeks.
And I'm going to have to agree with you with the disadvantage thing. And Arizona State definitely has that momentum up from being an NCAA Division I competitor in Penn State. Their momentum's going to be sky high. But as far as players to watch, who are you looking into going into Robert Morris?
Well, there's a couple of different players to look for. I mean, you mentioned the Penn State series being successful, picking up the win. A lot of that came on the leaders. Surprise, surprise. 2 of those were Dan Sterna and Caleb Delinsky. They both came in. Both scored 2 goals in each game, respectively. Sterna ended up with 4 points on the weekend. Just show how well he's done. The senior forward, we've been saying probably since about week 2, week 3 of the season, been riding him, saying one of these days he's just a post away from getting a break. I mean, I think we called 7 dings at one point and no goals to his credit. Now all of a sudden the goals are coming. So he must have adjusted his shot just slightly. So I look to have Sterna really break out this weekend. But honestly, in terms of the team, I think this entire team is prepared. I want to highlight Sterna, but I could really pick any single Sun Devil playing on this roster because they've really been playing their best hockey as of late. And all the quotes, too, we mentioned Danny McAuliffe last week, and he was even saying the Sun Devils haven't been playing their best. That's going to change in the next coming months.
Oh, without a doubt. And we even saw freshman Stephen Collins with a hat trick on the season. Caleb Delinsky with 2 hat tricks. I mean, you really can't go wrong picking anybody because you never know who's going to break out. They're all really good.
Yeah, Delinsky had 2 goals in Penn State, too, so he's always been breaking out.
Oh, without question. So ASU, this is going to be their first home game since November 7th against Colorado. Do you think that'll be an advantage having their home barn back?
Absolutely. I mean, every time you look at a home advantage, how can you go wrong? This is a Sun Devil team that's thrived at home. In the past years, if you want to even look in the past 4 years here at Arizona State program, they've tended to struggle on the road. So going on a big road trip, picking up 4 of 5 victories against not only 2 top 15 ACHA teams, but the NCAA Division I team. That's a big statement for the program. That's saying we can hang with the best, even in NCAA. I mean, it's just proven the talent the Sun Devils bring in here, and they're definitely ready for this weekend against Robert Morris. However, I will mention that Robert Morris was not really that circled on the calendar coming into this season because they were buried around the 12 rankings to start the season. Now, all of a sudden, at number 3, it's a 1 versus 3. Should be a great test for you guys to watch.
Oh, absolutely. And we talked about at the beginning of the season, the theme of this year kind of being redemption. Do you think ASU's living up to that? They just beat NCAA competitor. I
don't think I was aware they were hoping for redemption. I think a full redemption would come at the end of the season in March. I guess time will tell, but certainly by the 19-1 record officially for the Sun Devils, looking pretty sharp.
Yes. Well, we can certainly hope to expect seeing them in the end of the round. But that'll be it for Hell Frozen Over. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to watch the live broadcast this upcoming weekend on fasthockey.com. For Nick, Marek, I'm Allyson Cummings. You've been watching Hell Frozen Over, brought to you by the WCSN.